was shaped like a cat. It was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.
Here we are.
And here we are, gentlemen.
Just like that, we start season.
Just like that, we start season 2. Look at that. We got people waiting. How you doing, peoples? How's the peoples doing at the peoples? I think I look squished.
So last time I talked to you guys was like in the last week of August. Anything interesting happened since then?
No, nothing interesting happened since August. You kidding me? So right, our last one was warning everybody, hey, be careful. The hurricane.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think it was 6 weeks, right? I think it was 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I mean, I remember I was all angry at anti-vaxxers and all that kind of stuff, and then the hurricane happened, and I didn't think about nothing but getting my power turned back on for 10 days. That's all I thought about it.
I left town. I was like, see ya. I'm out. I went to where there was air conditioning.
We stayed for 2 days. Like we stayed for 2 days because we didn't have water the first day, but old school had filled up the bathtub with water, so it had bucket baths in the backyard. But it was the heat the second day, man. Like the water came back, but all I could do, I have a slate floor, and I just laid on it like a dog with my face pressed up against the slate and keeping it cool. Every part of my body just splayed out, keeping it cool. And then when I'd get hot, I'd turn my face over and reassess my body and get it all cool in a nice spot again. Roll over on my back sometimes. But I was literally trying to do as little as possible to not be hot. It was miserably, unbearably hot. And then Allison's twin, Aline, and her husband Eric had a house lent to him by a friend in Mobile. Beautiful old house in Old Mobile. Spent 2 days there, and then 3 days in the French Quarter at Allison's nephew Graham's place. He was out of town for a wedding, and the power had come back in the quarter. But what was weird was like we thought, okay, great, we're in the quarter. We can eat. But nothing. It was Decadence weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. There was nothing open. Verdi Mart was open, but they were only selling shrimp, hot sausage, and hamburger. Po' boys. And not a restaurant opened the entire weekend. And I couldn't make heads or tails because power was back. But then Allison's nephew Graham was like, yeah, but they don't have workers back. They had to evacuate. They can't get food delivered. It's shut down. I mean,
right.
It took days for our life to go back to the quarter, and the quarter was relatively unscathed by the thing. I mean,
yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, it was so hot the second night. Yeah, that was the thing. I slept outside on the porch because I just needed a breeze. It was like too hot in the house. I was like, And then after sleeping outside for a night, I was like, yeah, let's see if we can get the hell out of here. My phone didn't even work for 2 days. I didn't even have a phone for 2 days. That was fun.
That was the weird part. AT&T just went out for a couple of days.
Yep.
It was weird, which added to the surrealness of, we couldn't even get out of our little neighborhood. There were trees blocking every way in.
Well, we were able to get out, luckily, being right off.
But it didn't
Carrollton.
stop me from watching What If, Luis. And since it is Friday and it's a superhero review, how about that for a segue? We went straight from hurricanes to
That's
What If.
That's a great segue, man. I was over here feeling bad for you guys, I was like, just trying to keep up with you. I missed you guys, I was like, man, can't even talk, and Eric, all this, all these conversations we had just seem so minute and minimal with what you guys were going through. It's like, wow.
No, and like a week after you went to Dragon Con, right? A week after the hurricane, because Allison's son Ron went, and so that was a great escape for them. They actually didn't. They sort of left town all depressed. They had problems with their roof and stuff, and then they got to Dragon Con. And he said, I think we might just stay in our room the first night and just cool off. Man, they were out. They were dressed. They were with friends. They were having fun. They forgot about the hurricane and their caved-in roof for a few days. It was cool.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what else I noticed has changed? Yeah, what else feels like it's changed is like before the storm, I would have been telling you, well, we'll see what happens with the vaccination, anti-vaxxer working thing, whatever. But in the last 5 weeks, it feels like everybody's decided, fuck it. And now I have a bunch of stuff booked that doesn't feel like it's going to cancel. Like everybody's like, you know what? Enough is enough. Let's move forward with people being vaccinated and whatever.
I don't even know what to say about when people say I don't believe in science. I don't even know. I thought Thomas Dolby was cool in the 80s, but it's not as cool now. Be blinded. But anyways, let's leave reality for a moment, because reality's fucking heavy, man.
Right.
And let's go into What If. Now, we've missed a few episodes of What If together. I'm gonna say my least favorite of all the What was the zombie episode.
That was your least favorite?
I
That
don't
was
like
Louise's
zombies.
favorite.
I don't watch any zombie movies. I don't want anybody that's going to eat my brain. I don't want to watch a movie wherein people have their brains eaten by zombie soulless creatures. It's not my thing. Having the superheroes turned into zombies was a real turn-off. Bummer. Wanted to fast forward the episode, but in my commitment to our friendship, Luis, the only thing I've ever not watched is WandaVision, and I plan to do that one day. But the zombies was my least favorite. Thor episode, pretty frivolous.
I enjoyed the Thor episode, though. It was fun.
It was fun. It didn't say much for Thor.
Right.
Like if you hadn't had Loki, he wouldn't have been a great guy,
Right.
Or his
Well, no, I
father,
mean,
but-
it was definitely a different take than the one in the movie, though. The one in the movie took things way. This is frat Thor.
Now, the last episode was fantastic, I thought. With
The last
That
two.
was great.
The last two, and the fact that they brought them all back together was kind of fun. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. I didn't see it coming, and it was great. And then everything about that was great. With the way Black Widow ended in a universe where Widow had died, but she was immediately, except Nick Fury was there, and he goes, "You're not my Widow, but you'll do," or something like that.
Did you stick around for the post-credit scene? Did you guys
What?
stick around for the
Yeah.
post-credit scene with Captain Carter and Widow?
Yes.
Paul probably didn't know it was
Yes.
coming.
No.
There was a post-credit scene at the end of the last one that was, it was fun. It was a little, I don't think it leads anywhere, but I think it was just a fun little, you know what? Instead of you having to go look at it, I'll tell you. When Captain Carter gets back to her world, she, Black Widow comes up to her and tells her, I found out what they were trying to get, because it starts off at the beginning of Winter Soldier. Remember, they're on the boat and everything like that, and she's fighting the same guy, blah, blah, blah. She comes back to fighting that same guy. Widow helps her take the guy down, and then says, look at what they were looking at. And so they go find the Iron Man suit that Captain America wore, or Chris Evans, or whatever his character's name, I forgot now, Steve Rogers wore during Captain Carter. So they found that
The Hydra Stomper.
Hydra Stomper. They found that, like, the first Iron Man suit, and they said, and then she says, and there's somebody inside, and that's how it ends. So
That would have creeped me out, though. You're telling me there's somebody's body inside this thing for 50 years? Isn't it be like, dead or something? I'm not gonna be like, let's check it out. That's worse than a zombie. Yes, me.
yeah,
It's
you know where
scary,
they
you know?
were going with it.
Yeah.
They were going towards to say that he was somehow, still Steve and still young.
Oh,
That's
he's still
what I
alive.
assume.
He's still alive. He's still alive, and I get it. That doesn't make it. That doesn't make me say, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool. He's still alive." That would just gross me out, man. I'd be like, "Come on, don't do that to me,"
Well, maybe he's
But
not
but
going to
yeah,
be an
so
old
they gave her
man.
hope.
Maybe he's.
That grosses you out, but you're not grossed out by the zombie episode.
Well, no, of course not. Well, dude, the zombies were actually a Marvel comic line also. They were even written by the guy who created The Walking Dead.
I'm
to be
just
honest with you.
I'm anti-zombie.
So-
I don't care who. I'm anti-zombie. I don't
But
want
you didn't like
it's-
this. You didn't like it because. I mean, they've been having fun with the characters, right? I mean, somebody pointed out on the internet, which I thought was hilarious, is Tony Stark is the Kenny of from the some South Park. Tony Stark is always dying in every episode,
Right.
except for maybe that last one. But whenever Tony Stark dies, shit's gonna happen that shouldn't happen because he's always managing to find solutions, right? So they kill off Tony Stark in every episode. If you think about it, right? He's been dying all the time. You're like, gosh, this is,
Right.
It just shows you the impact that Tony Stark would have on a future on a multiverse, right? So, and then again, when they brought all the characters together, remember, Mikey, the other day I was telling you, I said they're going to do some kind of thing of Secret Wars where they're going to have one big battle. Remember that? And I said they're going to bring in some of these characters. They're going to make some of these people live action. And then when they did it in this episode, I was like, oh gosh, I didn't see it happening for this TV show, right? Which I thought was pretty awesome. So, yeah,
I think they did it on
around,
the TV show on purpose to sort of push the boundary so they could answer the fans who are asking for this kind of stuff without having to put it into a major movie and spend all that money on it, on something that's divisive that you can have a lot of people go, I don't want to see that one. That sounds crazy. So they put all those ideas into these comics and stuff like that, all the weird, fun little things.
They let them run. They let them go crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
there's from what I read on the internet was there's a lost episode because of COVID. They couldn't put it out on time or whatever. The episode where you see, so you know how they grabbed Gamora, right?
Uh-huh.
Where they put in Gamora.
Right. So she didn't have a story. Yeah.
Yeah, if you saw what she did, she had Thanos' armor on.
Oh.
Did you notice that?
And she also had Infinity
Thanos'
Smasher. So.
Right. So whatever Tony Stark helped her, right? But she slayed Thanos, and she took over his spot. She had Thanos' armor. Check that out next time. It's one of those things that you just miss. And
Interesting.
of course, yeah. So that's what I heard. Lost episode, and this, to your point, she didn't have much of a backstory.
Yeah, no, that would have been
Right,
fun,
so-
actually. I can imagine her dealing with Tony Stark as well, somehow meeting up with him and him helping her, wow. Because she was, right, they take her, she's with Tony Stark, right, when the Watcher shows up. And he's like, no, not you, Stark. I want her.
I would have been like, what the? Thanks, dude. I love you
Right.
too.
I think he was like that, actually. He was like, yeah, well, thanks. So it was kind of funny and cute.
I'll set this one now. But so now they put Black Widow on. So they got the Black Widow now.
Is on
they
Disney
set her
Plus.
up her thing, so it says on Disney Plus now.
I'm going to see
So,
Shang-Chi
you guys
today
kinda
at
check
1
it out?
o'clock. We couldn't go see it
Oh,
after
yeah.
the thing because of the hurricane. So the movie theaters were closed,
Yeah.
and then I wound up going on those gigs for a couple weeks. So I've had to put it off for a while. I almost went and saw it when I was out of town in Shreveport, but my wife has no interest in it. So I was like, well, I guess
Did you
I'll
say,
just wait.
baby, go to sleep? I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the movie
you
theater.
cheat on your wife with the movie.
Yeah. Nah, it was...
I'm probably gonna go to St. Louis this weekend, and at one point I'm not gonna have anything to do, so I'm probably gonna go check out Venom 2 at that point.
Yeah,
I haven't
I'd
got a
like to
chance to
see
check
that.
it out yet.
I heard if you like
I
the
was
first
actually- I
one,
was
you'll
in-
like this one. And everybody was making a big deal about this one being PG-13, but the first one was too, actually. So I thought that was kind of
Man.
interesting.
I mean, listen, what do you get out of making a superhero movie rated R?
Right. I mean, Deadpool's the only one that was able to pull it off. But I'll be honest, the PG-13
Yeah.
version of Deadpool 2, I enjoyed. I actually thought it was funny, in some ways funnier, because it wasn't just his, because some of his humor, the crude humor, it's so like right there. It's just like, sometimes it just doesn't make me laugh when it's right there, but the PG-13 thing actually had a lot of stuff that surprised me that was really funny. The Wonder Years thing, you ever see that, Paul?
Which one?
So Deadpool put out a special release of one of the, I don't know if it was the first or the second one. I think it was the second one. They did a special, it was one. Okay, so they did a special version of it.
No, I think you're right. I think it was 2. It was 2.
It was 2. So they did a special version of it that was PG-13 for all the, so that people could go, younger people could go see it. And they changed a lot of the jokes, changed the plot, well, the plot's similar, but they changed enough of it to make it worth going to see. And actually, I enjoy it more than the R-rated version. It's actually funnier because you have to have funnier ideas when you're PG-13. You can't just use curse words and boobies and stuff like that to make people laugh. You know, you have to try a little harder, I think. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Well,
Paul's looking at me dumbfounded.
again,
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I have no idea what the fuck
Talking
you're
about
talking about.
curse words and movies.
Yeah,
I got that part.
It had to do about humor. It was Deadpool 2. It was never mind. It's funny.
well, you guys saw Logan, right? You guys saw the Logan movie with Wolverine,
Yeah.
right? Again, that was rated R, and honestly, I didn't see what the difference was. You know what I mean?
You could see the things go
You
through
know,
people's heads.
yeah.
That was the difference.
Yeah, it
and
was
then he was
pretty
able to
graphic.
say fuck, and he was able to show more anger. No, he was able to show anger in ways he couldn't have got away with in a PG-13 movie. So that's what the big deal was. They wanted to actually show Wolverine sort of more like he really would be, and less, sanitized.
Yeah, and
You're
for
not
me,
buying it.
like I said, no. I mean, I love Wolverine. He's my favorite character in the world. But again, Wolverine's had some of the best lines where he didn't have to swear in a comic book. And
Right.
things like that. So
But I don't think it was about having
again,
him swear. It was about him literally. They wanted to just show his anger. They wanted to show how out of control he gets.
You can show his anger PG-13.
Nah, it never did quite come off. It never did quite come off.
And here's the thing: Wolverine is not Wolverine's not an angry character. Okay, Wolverine's never was an angry character. He's a man of contradictions, and that's what makes him more interesting to me. He's like the loner, but he's also like the father figure, right?
So you just, for you, that whole premise of him just wanting to commit suicide with the adamantium bullet and the whole nine that just wasn't for you.
My gosh,
Gotcha.
that was just for Hollywood. That's for just people who who are sad about their own lives and needed something sadder to watch. And I don't know, man, it was a movie. I didn't need it to be R. My life is R. What do you want?
Right. So did you like X-Men Origins, Wolverine?
It was fine. Like I said, it was a movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you can't grab
I
every
have to
comic
say,
book and
my
like it.
first X-Men movie was Logan, and I thought it was great.
I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed it a
In
lot.
fact, I haven't found an
It was
X-Men
fun.
movie I liked as much as that one.
And Mangold is the director, James Mangold.
I like the X-Men New Class that came out.
I like
and how
that one
they
too.
tied that up with the whole.
And that was Matthew Vaughn, who's doing the new Batman.
The Russian,
Yeah, I think that was Matthew Vaughn who directed that.
right?
And he's doing the new Batman. And the new Batman looks good too, actually. If the trailers can be believed, it looks interesting. That's just me.
I'm looking forward. So I'm looking forward to the new Hawkeye. Right.
Yeah.
That's coming out soon.
And She-Hulk,
That's going to be Disney Plus. She-Hulk too, but right now the first one up is, and you saw how they tied that to the Black Widow movie, right?
Hawkeye, yeah, of course, right. The ending bit.
Yeah, I don't know if this is, so at the end of Black Widow, you probably saw, her sister, right, or the other, the blonde Black Widow. She's gonna go after Hawkeye in this TV show.
Gotcha.
So that's what they're gonna do. And they haven't set that up yet. I mean, they set it up in the Black Widow movie, but you haven't seen her yet in the Hawkeye previews yet. So, that should be fun coming up though. But yeah, so I never got to connect with Al's son at the Dragon Con, Paul. That was, I'll be honest with you,
No,
5
He's
days of
young,
a Comic Con, guys. My gosh,
He-
5 days of a
he was
Comic
with
Con, way too much for
Awesome.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good. I'm glad everybody.
no, I mean, it's a big party. The Dragon Con's a big party. If you're not a cosplayer, I really don't recommend it. It's just really, it was like 5 days of the same thing, but again, I was with the crew of elite cosplayers, man. And I was gonna send you guys pictures, but since all this went through and crazy, there, everybody would come out with, "Hey, let's start cosplaying this. Hey, let's start playing that." And I'm like, man, we got like 2 weeks to come up with this stuff. I don't work that fast. I need like 2 months just to get through an idea. So yeah, so but of course I signed up already for next year, so that should be fun and a bit more. These I'm like saying these guys are really, really good. Everybody's really if I knew how to sew, I'd be great, but I don't know how to do with the needle and thread, so I'm not very good, you know.
Not
But
very
then
good.
yeah, so no, Paul, did you see Shang-Chi at all?
No, I haven't seen it.
I'm
It's
going to see
coming.
it
It's
today.
good. I think it's coming out on Disney Plus November 8th. I think that's
Yeah,
what
you'll
they
see it in
said.
a month. In a month. So,
Yeah, you
you
can
know
see
what
it
I
on.
noticed while I was out? Let's go back to music. So, on the music front, these festivals that I went and did, there was a lot of people to these vaccinated only shows. Um,
Yeah,
gave me hope.
I went out and played some shows in the Northeast with my friend Chris Joseph to promote his book and for me to do my thing. And they were all outdoor shows, and I think the crowds were all limited to 25 or 30 people, something like that. But traveling was weird, man.
Was
It's
it?
weird to travel. Yeah, you're in a mask and it's weird, and I don't
I guess I'm
know.
in a mask so much right now. I mean, because that was the other thing is like, I mean, you could go outside and be away from people and take your mask off, but other than that, as soon as you're around people, you got your mask on. So it's
Yeah.
and the planes are full. It's
And,
not
you,
like the
and
planes aren't
largely
full.
you're wearing a mask, because not to get back to it, but you're largely wearing a mask because people aren't getting vaccinated. Like if people are
Honestly, I think that's
vaccinated, it's not,
I think that's part of it. My friend Earl actually was vaccinated and wound up with what I think they call long haulers or something,
breakthrough something, right?
breakthrough COVID. So, and he actually quarantined for 2 weeks. He was fine during the quarantine. He was supposed to come on this gig with us, but he kept testing positive even after that 2 weeks for another week. So we were all nervous because we all had to take COVID tests before we went on the show. So not only did you have to be vaccinated, but you had to have a 72-hour COVID clean test. And anyway, we were really worried he wasn't going to test properly. And on the day of the test, he showed up and was sick and called me in the morning, first thing in the morning, saying he was in the hospital because he couldn't breathe. And
Jesus.
they wound up going and checking to look at his heart, did an angiogram, and it turns out his heart was fine. They were going to put stents in if he needed them. They thought that's what it might be because he'd been over COVID for such a long time, like 3.5 weeks at that point. And anyway, he's been in the hospital twice since, waking up in the middle of the night, can't breathe, going to the hospital. Now they think it's long haulers COVID. So,
Jesus. And he had been vaccinated?
yeah, he'd been fully vaccinated since April. And like I said, he said
Wow.
COVID didn't do anything directly to him, but now he's starting to have some of the after effects of it, apparently.
Wow.
So
It's a
yeah,
crazy,
It's terrible.
but my
crazy
point
thing.
is that you can be vaccinated, still get it, still carry it. He had it. I mean, I know a lot of people who are vaccinated who've gotten it and just haven't had any symptoms, but they're still contagious. So I think this mask thing
Well,
probably will be with us.
thanks for taking away what little sense of security I had managed to build up. I appreciate that.
Now, man, look, at this point, you have to start managing your expectations. Come on, man. Every time you leave your house,
I mean,
right?
oh yeah, I know. I did a recording session last week. It was supposed to be, August 29th. It was the day the session was supposed to happen. That was the hurricane. And so it got pushed back, and it was last week. And I arrived, and it's a driving rainstorm at Esplanade Studio, which I was glad it was a big studio, a lot of space in that studio. And I'm sitting in my car, and it's driving rainstorm, and I can see a figure in the car next to me hold up an umbrella, like, I'll share my umbrella. So I get out, and it's Irma Thomas.
Oh
So I
no.
walk into the studio escorted by Irma
Wow.
Thomas. It was very, and some of the greatest singers in the city. John Pay was there, and Philip Manuel, and Charmaine Neville, and it was just a wonderful. And Detroit Brooks had put it together. He wrote the song and done all the arranging and rehearsed the band and the whole thing. It was a beautiful project to be a part of. I was quite touched with all these great New Orleans singers to be included. And we each got to sing one line, which made it even easier. I had rehearsed the whole, 2 verses, and he goes, "Okay, here's your line." And I said, "Great, man! I'm so over prepared. This is awesome."
Allison, yeah, no, Bonnaroo canceled because of Ida. So no, there was never anything. Turns out that they had canceled the web stream because they couldn't find big sponsors. And interestingly enough, the festivals that I did do, they kind of changed their plan to, instead of trying to do these big sponsors who pay a big amount and charge, we all downscaled what we were bringing, simplified it with fly packs, but now they do advertising with small advertisers where, you buy a few spots during the concert, and they're having a lot more success with that, being able to come up with the money to make these things happen with small sponsors rather. So they're changing the model of how they do these things with web streaming concerts and things like that. So I think we'll start seeing more of them. The trick will be the services that do it, like Mandolin or whatever. I guess if you subscribe, you can see it commercial free, and if you don't, you'll just have to see these things with commercials. Is kind of, I think, where they're headed with concerts. That's good music, if there's another way for artists to be able to pull back a little bit of cash, because I think the artists still get a piece of that too, and if they're on the streaming thing, it's another way for them to make a little bit more cash while also helping the festivals and things. So we'll see where that goes.
Great.
What do you think about the IATSE strike, Sanchez? Mr. I'm intelligent sometimes. What do you think about the IATSE strike?
Well, those guys work hard, man. I was in the IATSE union after Katrina, and it's a minimum 10-hour day. Pretty standard is a 12-hour day, and even more standard than that is like a 14-hour day, and sometimes 6 or even 7 days in a row. So that they have some issues to be dealt with, and they should be treated with some sense of like they're humans. Like they break and they need rest, and then they should be compensated for their time and their sacrifice they make to be on set for somebody else's vision.
Yeah, and they're just fighting to make sure that their wages stay competitive, and that they maybe still keep seeing some of the back end stuff. But there's an interesting new component to it. So you have states like Georgia and Louisiana that do so much filming, so many movie things, right to work states. So IATSE's really, it makes you wonder, like, I'm only bringing this up because our old buddy Eddie is about to start on 2 projects, and he doesn't know what to do if the IATSE strike hits. I'm not in the union yet, but I want to be in the union so he can have all those protections. But if I scab, I'm like, if you scab, then you'll never be in the union. So just, you're going to have to make that decision. Are you going to stand behind the union and stay out of it? Or are you going to, I said, but if you scab, forget it, dude. You're going to be out. Luis, if you have to go, man, you look nervous.
No, I'm just feeling bad. I mean, it's just hearing that. I mean, the fact that times are different, right? And times are really hard to where you still have to abide by these rules that really, you know what I mean?
What rules are we talking about?
Well, but you saying like, if you scab, you're not going to be allowed into the union, right?
More than likely, he wouldn't be allowed into the union.
I'm sure those rules were fine and dandy before a pandemic, and I don't know. It's just hard, What I mean?
But see, remember, Luis, the only way a union has power, because if a bunch of guys like Eddie go and scab, then they may not get what they're. And the reason he wants to join the union is because he wants the protections and the bonuses you get from the union. So that's why he's decided not to scab, because he wants those protections. So it's like everything else, it's risk cost.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, just like when the NFL. Remember when they were like when they had to get when the referees went on strike and they had their scabs, right? Oh my gosh, those people, they really did themselves in, that was brutal. But like, in terms of what you guys have been saying through COVID, I drove to Virginia Beach the other day, right, for my friend's 3rd wedding, right? How can I miss his 3rd wedding? So I went out there and, nobody, masks weren't really a thing. I'm gonna be honest. I wore my mask when it was like enclosed in an elevator or something, but everything was open air, right? And granted, it's an easy excuse to say it's open air, right? But I should have been more careful. But so far, so good. When I went to Dragon Con, I came back and I did give myself a COVID test just because it was Dragon Con. You're surrounded by so many other people, and I tested negative, so which is great. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
keep
mean,
testing negative
I
myself.
mean,
So it makes me feel good about wearing the mask because I'm pretty religious about it when I'm out. Um, like you, sometimes I find myself just in a situation where you don't have it on, you're already exposed all of a sudden, and you're like, fuck, does it even matter if I put the goddamn thing on now? I mean, I'm already exposed to these people because, whatever happened. When we were working on these last two shows, one of the shows I wore a mask the whole time. The second one I knew the director, and we talked it out, and we were like, yeah, if it's just us in here, anybody else who came in had to wear a mask, but we kind of worked it out between ourselves. Said, hey, do you feel like wearing a mask? He's the one who brought it up, and I'm like, he had just tested negative. I just tested negative. I warned him. I was in Vegas. Who knows? Just letting you know. I flew in. He said, I'm willing to take the risk. And I said, all right. But no COVID yet. For any of us, right? Paul, you never had it, huh?
No.
No?
No.
Hey, did you know about the Chikiwawa thing for Dale this week? Because all of a sudden I got a text from a friend of mine. You went?
I went. It was more crowded than I thought it would be. It was really kind of moving and very moving, actually. So many folks came out. Real nice atmosphere, and Mashia Lake and Tom McDermott have sort of taken over booking the place. And Mashia was running the night. She was actually bartending and being MC, and she was pretty amazing.
Nice.
And so she opened the mic for people to say a few memories about him. And, I told a couple of stories about him, and I played piano and sang.
Oh, nice. Fucking A.
wow,
How'd that
was
feel?
this your first public? Yeah.
It was good. I've been playing now for over a year, and so it felt pretty natural. I played The Nearness of You, which is one of my favorites, and it was fun. I think it took people by surprise.
I'm sure it did. There's only 30 people that know you're playing piano all the time now, right? 35, whoever these people are that come to the show, our little internet show, that's the people that know you're doing this, right? I was thinking, how do you guys feel if, things are getting busy again? And, I mean, even how do you feel, Paul, about doing a Thursday night show or something like that? Maybe something...
Instead of 3 days a week?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just as things pick up again, do Tuesday and Thursday night or something like that. Do a couple of nights instead of morning shows. I mean, I was just wondering if our people would even want to see something where we just did an evening show instead of a morning show.
Do you think we're ready for prime time is what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying, but I do know I can do these next week, but by the time we get into, when is it next week? I guess it's, I don't know. There's a couple days next week that I have a problem with. The following week, I'm good. And I think, I don't know. Anyway, mornings are going to be, I got a bunch of stuff in October. I'm just trying to figure out ways to, be able to hang out and talk to the people. The thing is, I wonder if, if we did a show at night, you might be able to get the lights down, get a shot of you on the piano. Could be cool, just.
I don't know how I'd light my place at night.
I know, right? We'd have to get you a light. That's the thing. I got one here. We'll just bring it over. We'll get it lit in one nice little area. Give you some ambiance. We'll put some tungsten light colors in there. Yeah, we'll get some tungsten. We'll David Fincher your place up. Just do a lot of natural lighting, just a touch, just to get your face right.
Maybe we just rent a TV studio for me.
Yeah.
To do the show for.
You want a makeup artist too?
I wouldn't mind the makeup. I think makeup would do wonders for me. I think that makeup would help me look like I was in my 50s again. It would be amazing.
Dude, you look like you're in your 50s. I don't even see a goddamn wrinkle. Whatever your lens that you're doing right now is, it's working, man. Luis, do you see a wrinkle on that man's face?
No, no. I
Not a
mean,
wrinkle.
I thought he was still in his 50s. Now that he just said that, I was like, shit. Wait a second, we're between the man.
He's not even
No,
paying
man,
attention
Oh
anymore.
God,
I'm gonna be 62 in November.
Holy ghost.
62. Shit.
He's about to sign up for
Wow.
Medicare.
Have you gotten the AARP mails yet? That's when I know. Like
I
I
get him. Are
get
you kidding? I'm
AARP mails.
53 and I get him.
Yeah, I get it. I
I was
don't
like,
understand anything about it.
I don't get them. It's my sister. Like my sister still somehow gets mail sent to this house. So when I see the AARP and I see it's my sister's name, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Hey, Shmoo, you
Usually
gonna
there's
come down
somebody
and
on the
buy
cover.
too?
Springsteen's been on that magazine, Sting magazines. ARP is pretty hip these days.
Hey, you know what's funny? I just said, hey, Shmoo, and then Siri started going, hey. It's like Siri thought it was her. Like, I guess you can call Siri Shmoo if you want to.
I got to see Shmoo at my show in Boston, and it may be the first time I ever played a show for Shmoo where she didn't request a single song.
Really? She just sat back and enjoyed it.
Well, I hope she enjoyed it, but she just did sit back.
She was just saying she wanted to attend bar at Chikiwawa. She says that'd be fun. Don't you have a gig coming up at Chicky, by the way? I heard that you're playing.
Yeah, I'm playing there next Saturday, actually.
Next Saturday.
I'll be playing both piano and guitar. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Nice.
And yeah, I've been working pretty hard on being able to sing again, and looking forward to doing it. My baritone range is pretty solid, and I'm hoping to just stay down in Johnny Cash land and have a good night.
She says that she requested Thunder Road. That's what she was just saying.
That's true. She did. Okay, good, because it wouldn't have been a show if Shmoo had not requested a single song.
Right. So
Something would have been wrong.
Something's not right here.
I think Paul just ignored her. Not that she didn't request. Paul was just like, Paul already had in the set he was going to play. How did that go with promoting your play?
I have to say, like, it was weird. It's been 3 years since I did shows, like that. And I remember the week of the thing, I'm sitting there, like, thinking, like, I wonder what songs I used to like to play and why.
It's been so long you can't even remember what songs you used to do, right? You're like, damn, what was I doing?
Why did I play those songs, man? So it was kind of fun, and then and it being a book tour for Chris's journey through cancer, it kept a certain a certain weight to the set list, a song selection, and that was fun too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next Saturday at Chikiwawa.
And I guess you've already decided.
I have to ask you guys a question as musicians, all right? And Polly, okay, so here's what happened. I went to Virginia Beach this past weekend, right? On my way there, I broke up my trip. I had friends that I met 7 years ago in West Virginia. They were the coolest people. They let me stay over, let me sleep the night. Then from West Virginia to Virginia Beach, I completed my trip. On the way back, I Ironmanned it, as my colleague, me and my brother, went from Virginia Beach all the way back here to Northwest Indiana, and I did that in 15 hours, right?
Wow.
By myself, music, at one point I was talking to Mike on the road. I'm like, Mike, it was good to hear Mike and everything. But you guys, and now Polly, I even thought of you on the road, like, how did you do that big old stink, dude, of just going from venue to venue, man? Because I was just like dead tired at one point, and I'm like, I would hate to be like in a long ass 8-hour trip and then still have to play, 3 hours in front of people. I mean, I don't know how you guys did it at that point. I was just like checked out mentally.
I have to say, I think it's part of what led to my physical breakdown with all the surgeries I wound up having and stuff. I was really pushing it. And I would make 15-hour drives to play a gig. And that was intense, man. I'd have to pull over. I remember pulling over in the mountains in Virginia, and it was so cold. I had a bed in the back of my van, but it was so cold that what woke me up was me shivering, you know,
Oh wow.
and then getting on with the drive, you know. It was exhausting and crazy. I mean, I took risks and fell asleep at the wheel on occasion. You know, you slap yourself in the face to keep going. You know the
I used
deal.
to slap myself a lot in the face to keep going. Just you start. I mean, and at some point, like about 15 minutes into that, you really start hitting yourself. Like you fucking smack the shit out of yourself.
I have a confession to make, Mikey. When you were driving for Cowboy Mount, some of those slaps were me.
Oh shit. I thought it was me. I was tired, man. I was tired. So sometimes when you get real tired, you don't know. Oh,
You're driving scared the shit out of me, so I'd stay awake, and if you nodded off, I'd just smack the shit out of you and pretend I was asleep behind you.
you know, the upside about when I was with you guys is Timmy Cohen was a complete control freak. And I let him be, you know. It's like, sure, you want to be a control freak? That meant that he wanted to drive, he wanted to do this, he wanted to do that. And for one thing, it's easier to let a control freak just be a control freak. But two, it was like, sure, you want to drive and deal with all that other stuff? You go ahead, Mr. Cohen. I'm all behind you. Do your thing, man. You do you. Want you to do
Now
you.
he's going to get word that he should tune in and hear you diss him on the show.
That wasn't a diss, was it? That was I was talking an admirable quality of the man's. I just took advantage of it. That's all.
You just took advantage.
Well, you know, I mean,
You
come
know
on.
what? When it
He
comes
was
to the
happy.
car, when it comes to the car, I learned that when it comes to the car, I'm a control freak. Driving down to Dragon Con, it wasn't my car, obviously, because we took a guy's truck and he was excited. And me not driving, I was like this, you know, I was just like, wow. And then we had to put our foot down. Let's say, oh no, I love driving. And
As long as the other person doesn't mind me falling asleep, I love not driving.
Right. True. Like if you have to stay up with the person and talk to them, yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
That sucks. Yeah. I want to nod
I mean,
off.
you know, and for me, you know, I'll talk about just about anything. But when the driver wanted to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, I said, listen,
Wow.
if we start finishing this conversation, you're going to have to explain to the police why this chubby guy decided to jump out of your truck at 70 miles an hour. Yes. I was not. And I said, and the police would be on my side. I want you to know that. And people are like, Luis, are you picking on our geek? I said, I'm exactly what I'm doing, okay? I have to talk about Dungeons and Dragons for 8 hours because I will jump out of this truck.
Oh,
I would like my chances.
Yeah.
You know,
That would be great.
I would like my chances. You know, I'm into like superhero stuff and everything, but man, I can't talk Dungeons and Dragons at all. Period. You know,
Well-
I talk movie with you guys. That's the extent I can do this stuff.
The funny
You know?
thing is
It's not like,
you know, so if you like Game of Thrones-ish stuff and things like that, I mean, it doesn't. I'm not necessarily into Dungeons and Dragons, but it's just an imagination game. So you know, it's not, you know.
yeah, but
I don't want to put
get
down.
it,
My stepson Brian, Allison's son, he loves D&D, and his girlfriend played D&D. They're very serious about it, so I know it's a whole other culture. I know, Luis. What are you gonna do?
But it's
No,
imagination.
listen,
Look,
for
it's
me-
better than some other things they could be interested in because it's a creative.
Listen, for me, D&D is like marijuana. I tried it once in high school, and that was it. Never tried marijuana, but I tried D&D one time in high school, and my gosh, when these guys wanted to talk D&D outside when we were playing D&D, I couldn't do it. You know?
Why do you want
I
to
had
drag
a bad
marijuana?
taste.
We're
I'll
having
be
a
honest.
nice conversation. You want to
fine.
try and drag marijuana in as an ugly reference for some reason. It has nothing to do with anything. Here, marijuana is done right by many people that I'm friends with.
I meant to say drugs. Okay, but we'll replace it with cocaine. Okay, I'm sorry. Cocaine.
Now the
Right.
inference is even heavier. You know, you're like, oh, that's just replacement. Oh, now you're saying it's really bad. It's like cocaine. There's nothing like cocaine.
It's nothing like cocaine. It's nothing like. I'm just saying it's your first time experience. Okay, fine. Whatever you want to compare it to. I was just like, I tried it once, then need to do it again, you know. And my friends are always playing. It was like, hey, what are you guys doing on a Friday night? We're playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, all right, have fun. I can't get you guys. I can't put you guys away from that. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
No, I never played Dungeons. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but when I was young, I did play a game called Risk, and Risk would take hours. Sometimes it would even take days, and you were committed, man. You were in.
and it was the same. I mean, the fact that the complexity of Risk is sort of what some of them can do with Dungeons and Dragons. And all they do is they sort of throw these things together for you. People can pick, but it's all about imagination. Like a guy goes through all of these things. He can make up his own whatever. The backpedaling is landmark. Landmark.
Did you guys ever play the game? You guys ever play the game of life?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So do you remember like you had to stop to get married, and you ended up like all these kids in the car. And at one point, you just had like so many kids with the wife that you had to like stack the little pegs on top of each one. But considering that we were Mexican, it seemed like natural to me as a kid. I'm like, hey, like a car full of kids. That there's more kids in here that we could put in the car. And that was just life for me. So that part made sense. And then
the real
as I got
reason
older,
that
When it came time to choose between going to college or going straight to work, which one would you choose when you played?
oh, I think it was college.
Because that was a fork in the road, man. You had to choose college or work.
Yeah.
I
I
went
just
with work.
I
I went
remember.
straight for the money.
that's why you didn't make
Yeah.
much. If you didn't go to
And
college,
The
You
story of my
lost.
life.
yes.
I didn't just not go to college. I didn't go to college. I became a musician.
I
That's
did.
the greatest way to have no money that you could possibly.
Wait. Imagine. All right. So me and my daughter were actually talking about.
Wait. You can't bless being a musician because that's like again me blessing marijuana. You can't do that. It's such a positive thing to be a musician, man.
Not financially.
So you can't. Well,
I'm positive that most musicians don't make much money.
Right.
That's a positive thing.
You know what though? Most artists don't need a
understand
lot of
that.
money either. So there's that aspect of it. I think most artists are fine with obviously wherever they are in life obviously fuels their art, and if they're any good at it, then all those things fuel your art. So one way or the other. Not a lot to write about when you're rich. People don't really relate to that experience. At least not many people.
I would like to find out. I would like to find out.
Yes,
I would
you
like
write
to
songs
be
about
So
being rich.
wealthy that my art was unrelatable to the people.
Yeah, that's where you want to be,
That-
huh?
That would be an interesting challenge. I would like that challenge. I would be comfortable with that challenge.
I understand. I decided a long time ago, money's definitely not the main motivator for me. It is what it is, right?
But,
No, Mike, I'm not
so,
agreeing with
so
this.
I once heard somebody.
But after Katrina,
I,
I was touring around after. I'm sorry, Luis. I was touring around after Katrina.
go ahead.
And you were living in Nashville, Mikey, and I was just starting to work on movies, and the pay was pretty good. It was like $1,500 a week or whatever it was, 16 years ago, but it was good money. And I told you I was thinking about doing it full time and giving up music, and you were like, $1,500 a week sounds like good money. It's not playing music.
Yes. No, it's not. I mean,
Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves. I gotta get a
Yes.
cord. I'm about to lose.
so I was thinking, Luis, about your question earlier about traveling and having to play a gig, and although we didn't
Yeah.
do it as much as Paul did, Skeet, I had an unfair advantage because I had a partner in crime who would motivate each other. It would
That's
be,
cool.
we'd share the load, and I don't know, it was something about being in it with somebody else made it a little easier to deal with, I think.
Oh no, that for sure.
I don't think.
Yeah, no, I can
I
see
think
that. I
Paul
can
even
see that.
felt alone sometimes when he was with the guys. I mean, at a certain point, maybe not early on, and I was with them early on. We did drives to New York City where we did not stop. We just changed drivers for 20 hours or whatever it was until we pulled into fucking Manhattan in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that, to get to the hotel. So we did a lot of runs like that back in the day.
Yeah, wow, that would, yeah. I mean, it does help to definitely have somebody there to motivate you. But I just remember thinking at one point, when Paul was just doing his, I'm on the road tour for God knows how long to see how this lasts, and I was just like thinking, man, that should be brutal, And because again, I was comfortable. I mean, like I said, I've done driving my whole life. I do road trips all the time. Don't get me wrong, I love road trips. But I mean, gee, when I drive out to New Orleans, right, that's still a 15-hour drive for me.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good
drive.
But
I was just, again, at one point, I was just. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is the first time I ever drove out east. You know, so the road was unfamiliar. I learned how to drive in the mountains, right?
Yeah, is there mountains?
Downshift that car.
Right.
Oh yeah. You had like the 7% grades and everything, right? And if you don't know how to put that car into third or second when you need to, yeah, you don't want to ride your brakes.
So these guys didn't do a good job with driving. He had you that nervous?
I'm just, I guess at first he did. But after a while, I'm like, if I die, I'm just, whatever.
See, and look, that's where I'm at with some of this other stuff. It's like, you kind of start to go, well, let's. I'll tell you what, I'm happy to be getting back to work.
Right? No, exactly. I mean, when the guy was driving to Dragon Con, I was like, because they're driving through the Smoky Mountains, right?
That was so funny, Paul. Like when just your eyes were there. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Luis, but Paul's eyes just showed up, and it fucking cracked me up. It's like you just saw his little eyes looking over the thing, like, "Hey, you guys still there?" Anyway, when you were driving through the mountains, Luis.
No, it's just you're like this guy's riding brake, and you're like, dude, do not ride your brake, but
right, not in the mountains. What are you, out of your mind? Yeah. People don't like to hear their cars rev up. And it's actually fine for the cars to rev up,
Yep, and that's because you're using the engine to slow down, right? And one guy, I said, dude, and one guy goes, yeah, Luis, I ride the brake in the mountains. I'm going, are you kidding me? And he goes, well, it's a rental. I said, that's the guy who rented the car before you said too, right? So, you don't know how safe that car is, man, but.
Well,
again,
the ABS systems help with that stuff now. They do sensing stuff and everything like that. So the computers, I mean, you're right. Back in the day, nowadays computers help these idiots. So we're just a step away from.
I was gonna say this. So my car is 11 years old, and I can still say my car is a car, right? I have to pay attention to my lines. I have to pay attention to when I park, and I see these new cars. It's like you're stepping into a computer, right? I've seen these cars that now shake if you break your lane, right? And you got the review, camera to help you park. I'm like, do we even need
the van we just rented? Keeps you in the lanes. Like as soon as you start to go out of the lanes, the wheel actually grabs for you. It was this van. And it can sense. So this is the precursor to electric cars, guys. That's what's going on here. They're getting everybody comfortable with the technology to make them feel safe, and so that when the transition happens, it'll be more natural.
I don't think it's specifically electric cars. I think it's cars in general.
Not electric cars. I meant self-driving cars, not electric cars. I'm sorry. This is the precursor,
right?
Because they're already using this technology. They've been collecting stuff for 15 years now. And you can actually sign up with Google when you're in certain parts of the country, and they'll give you $10 a month, $15, enough to pay for YouTube, to just monitor your driving so that they can see how their stuff interacts with it and stuff like that. But they've been collecting data.
If you said, Luis, how people, you're right, how people have the self-driving cars, and it's like, would you want one of these in the mountains of West Virginia?
Sure.
No, I would not put my confidence in a car that way.
I think a car will do it better. If everybody goes to these self-driving cars, we'll probably have less issues. To be honest with you, it's going to be the holdouts again that's going to fuck things up. It's going to be the guys who are like, "Oh, I'm never going to drive. Not only am I not vaccinated, but I'm going to drive my own goddamn car at 85 miles an hour and destroy everybody, kill everybody. The electric cars are going to be trying to get away. I mean, the self-driving cars are going to be like, what the hell is going on with this guy? He can't even stay in his lane. I know that's you.
He likes to drive.
I'll fall into that one.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be you.
I would be fine. Look, I've been in a 15-passenger van with a drunken roadie at the wheel at 3 o'clock in the morning on the way to the next gig. I can definitely sleep through self-drive. You know? Like,
let Skynet drive the car for me. I don't care.
With equipment, and there's no place to sleep on a seat, so I'm on the floor, and my face is about 3 inches away from the metal bar that the seat is rooted into the floor on. So if we get in a wreck, that metal bar is going right into my face. And I slept like a baby. So I think I'll be fine with a self-driving car.
Me too. I'm gonna catch up on my reading. I'm gonna sleep. I can't wait till there's self-driving cars. Then, look, we get self-driving cars, and Luis will be like, "Hey, when you guys want to come in for the weekend?" I'll say, "You know what? Yeah, I will." And then I'm just gonna sit in my car and read a book while I drive to freaking Luis's place. I love it. It's gonna be
my car drives.
Are you sure you're not gonna have like your little iPad reading the book? I mean, because I see, seeing you with an actual physical book in a high-tech car is a little bit of a contradiction to me.
I see that's the kind of contradiction I want to live. I want to live that contradiction.
Whichever version's cheaper, because I just bought a Van Halen book that I got for $6.99, and I got the hardcover because the digital copy was like $15.99. I wasn't gonna buy it for that, but for $6.99, I was like, yeah, let me read that Van Halen book. So, what you gonna do?
And Halen. And how was it?
I'm still into the younger years. I got busy this week, so I wasn't able to mess with it as much as I wanted to. But
I would say that Diamond Dave stories alone would make that worth reading.
Yes, I imagine that they will. Plus, Eddie Van Halen, come on. He's my Jimi Hendrix. I'm sorry, guys. I know you guys, all you older people are like, Jimi Hendrix. Nah, Eddie Van Halen's my Jimi Hendrix.
Luis is younger than you know.
And he's probably
Luis
one of those guys who goes back to Jimi Hendrix. But,
what's it called? I don't know if you saw this past week. I posted on Facebook, and I'm paraphrasing. It's a picture of, I'll send it to you, Mike. It's a picture of Eddie Van Halen holding up a little note, and it says, "If you miss me, just hit play."
I like it.
Yeah,
that's a great meme for him after he's gone. Yeah.
That was.
I would love to do my mailbox in 5150. Shit, I'd love to do my car in that 5150 design with the red and all that stuff. Do my whole car. I'll drive that around. It'd be awesome. Yes, Eddie was a man. I remember when Beat It first came out, and a buddy of mine's like, who's into pop music, is like, wow, this is kind of cool. I wonder who that is. And I was like, dude, that's obviously Eddie Van Halen. There's nobody else who could do that at the time, at least not with that sort of growl and attitude that he had. And sure enough, I didn't know, but I found out a few weeks later, of course that was Eddie Van Halen. I was like, of course that was Eddie Van Halen. There's nobody else that would have done it like that. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, that's who I wanted to be at first. That's the way I play guitar. I wanted to be that motherfucker. Funny. Yeah, it is funny because I gave up on all. It's so much practice. I could do it when I was young, and then by the time I was 17 or 18, I had real jobs. I had to work too. It was like, yeah, let's simplify this a little bit. But the stuff that I learned from him definitely made it so that it was easy for me to put it in the background and start transitioning to doing more singing songwriting because I had the foundation from him. It was a good foundation.
I didn't know you were such a fan, Mikey.
I was crazy. Because when I was in junior high school, it was Randy Rhoads and him and Van Halen. It was one of those fan things.
And who's he? Who's Randy Rhoads?
He was this guy who played for. Yeah, right. He played for Ozzy Osbourne, and when I first got into music, or decided I was going to play music, I was very immature age. I was like 13. We named our first band Refical because it was Lucifer spelled backwards. We were totally into the whole shock and awe, music thing at the time. It was new. You gotta understand, Luis, it was new when I was a kid and 13 years old. So for us, it was like, this is awesome. What? Yes. Because I didn't believe in religion anyway.
Luis, as if Luis is older than him. Luis is younger than you by a lot.
No, that's my point. I'm trying to explain to him that when I was young, this was no. I mean, he looks back on it like, what are these guys thinking? But I lived through it.
No, I like how you guys are treating. I like how you guys are treating me like I'm 25 and not 45.
Yes. Well, still, I got 10 years on you, man. So you came around,
I'm 45. Man. I mean, you're making it seem like I'm like a millennial going, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I get it. But by the time you're 12 versus when I'm 12, you can look at it very differently and go, well, these guys are ridiculous now. So you had a different perspective is all I was getting at.
Well, you got to remember something, man. You know, cable came in my family not as early as other people. So everything we had, like NBC used to have like Friday night videos, right? And that's where I would catch all my music, you know? I had the biggest crush on Madonna when I was 9 because it was Madonna, you know? Nobody else was flaunting it like Madonna was when I was 9 years old, especially in the music video.
So for me, Madonna came much later. Like she was like, I was 17, and so I looked at her with a completely different eye. To me, I was like, okay, she's hot for one thing. She's obviously a coquette, so that was kind of fun. She was more titillating for me. I didn't really see her as an artist at all. I didn't think much of what she was doing, but I thought, well, she's hot and she's interesting. So
she's doing her thing, you know. She was doing her thing, and she was ruling the. I mean, I can't think of another pop star during the '80s that was doing what she was doing. You know, the '80s
at the time, everybody was doing what she was doing. Right. She's just the one that broke out and was able to hit home, and she did it mostly by trying to do shock and awe herself. Her whole thing was kissing girls.
Real quick,
and
before we finish, I have to go back to that What If episode where they were playing Flock of Seagulls' Space Age Love Song. I lost my shit when they did that.
Which one was that?
So when Peter, okay, so it's the one where T'Challa became Star-Lord.
Uh-huh.
And where Peter Quill is working at the Dairy Queen, and Ego, Kurt Russell's character, comes up to him.
Gotcha.
And then he was listening to music, and they were playing Flock of Seagulls' Space Age Love Song. Yeah. I was like, way to go. I mean, not many people are going to catch that, you know?
I didn't catch it because I only know the one song because I hate them. So once again, that's a difference between your age and my age.
We did a whole superhero segment. We never talked about the new Spider-Man movie.
Right.
Yeah,
that looks interesting.
We'll save that for the next time. We'll save it for the next time.
Okay, because I got a lot to say on this subject because I'm pissed.
Oh, you really?
Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. Pissed.
Okay.
Pissed.
Right. We will definitely have to investigate that.
Talk about it next Friday.
Yes. Talk about it next Friday. And we'll be back on Monday, me and Paul, and we'll probably have some more definitive. We've been talking about a stupid Patreon thing forever, and I'm going to force him over the weekend to talk to me and figure this out so that we can, figure out a plan going forward. I noticed nobody seemed to have any comments about. Let Paul know what you think about doing a few evening shows. I noticed nobody said a fucking word about evening shows. Like, does that mean you don't care or not so much? I don't know. But you guys message Paul.
You know, Mikey, we're just gonna do it. When you're busy, if you want to do an evening show, damn it, we'll do an evening show because that's what you want.
No. What do you want, Paul? I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't even ask what you wanted. What would you like
No. I'm totally irrelevant to the situation.
Well, here's the deal. I can't do it in the morning. So if we're gonna do it, it would have to be an evening show. So you could choose, like, say, well, you know what? Fuck you and your evening shows. I'm not doing it. So, you could.
I'd rather have that tantrum on the air, so we'll see.
When you have schoolroom lighting and you're like, dude, this is not what you told me it was going to look like. What the hell are you doing here? I look even worse.
We're over time.
So real quick, just real quick. So next weekend, there's actually 3 Comic-Cons happening in the Midwest. There's one in Chicago, one Motor City, Detroit somewhere, and one in Indianapolis. I've actually been requested to become the MC for the costume contest in Indianapolis. So if people want to come down who are like near Indianapolis for that Comic-Con, I'll be there next weekend.
Nice.
Are you going to be doing a set? Is it going to be you going like doing 15 minutes in the Hall H set? Or?
No, it's gonna. You know what? I ain't gonna lie. I stole some of Fred's showmanship when I do these things. So I get, I show up, I start to people, and then after I start talking to the people, I start presenting everybody's costumes and so forth.
You perform like Fred Schneider from the B-52s?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I break out in Love Shack. I break out in Love Shack 5 minutes in.
Nice.
All right, guys. It was fun.
All right,
I'm glad we got back to
you go. Yes, you guys take it easy.
You too. We'll see you guys on Monday and have fun. Bye now.
Well, I used to keep my money in a cookie jar. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, I'm staring at her shoulder, but it's not what I see when I hear two fellas fighting in the booth across from me. So I wipe away the ashes from an empty kind of seat, and I wished I wasn't homesick, I wish I was asleep.